I got a lot of books to show you guys. Like a lot. A lot. I try to stay loose for this video because I tried to record it once and my phone ran out of space. So I had to clear a bunch of space off my phone. And I was so pumped to do it because I came back from a library sale on Wednesday in Springfield and I got probably the most books I've ever gotten in one place. Maybe. Don't quote me on that. But I really can't wait to show you these because this might be my longest book haul ever. I want to take my time on this one, so strap in, get yourself a beverage. I'm going to try to go, excuse me. Oh, I'm going to try to go slow and take my time and kind of savor some of this. So if you're in for a long book haul and you like that kind of thing, this is the video for you. If you don't know who I am, my name is Braden. I go by Dad Like Book, and I love to show off and talk about old science fiction and fantasy. Um, and today I have two gigantic boxes, a third shoebox sitting over there that contains a lot of really cool stuff. Let's get into it. First off, we have a first edition, first print of The Forever War by Joe Haldeman in this super sick cover. Yeah, first Avo Nova printing, 1997. So everything that I'm about to show you, I got at a library sale. Like I said, um, everything was except for that book, and then one other book was between like $2 and $5 that was hardback, and then all of the paperbacks were 50 cents a piece, like across the board. So all three of these books, 50 cents. I got three John Wyndham's Penguin, UK Penguins. These are cool. John Wyndham, Trouble with Lishin. Sorry for the pronunciations. The Chrysalids. I have never seen this one before, but I'm familiar with the book. A famous Wyndham, a well-known Wyndham, I should say. And then The Day of the Triffids, another one that is kind of in the tradition of H.G. Wells. H.G. Wells, as the Brits would call him. H.G. Um, so yeah, those are cool. They were all three sitting together, and I was just like, okay, yeah. um, I was like shaking at this library sale at one point because I brought two big Aldi bags, and just thought, I'll fill those up, and if I need more space, I'll go get it. I filled both of those up within the first 30 minutes. Had to take them out to my car, come back in. I only brought one bag. I don't know why I thought I just needed one, but then I filled that bag, went back out to my car, brought it back again. So I took 3 trips inside, 4 total bags of books that were just, I mean, it wasn't even just full. It was like stacked, and I couldn't carry them further, or I couldn't stack them even more. But it was such a wonderful time. This is Children of Time, Adrian Tchaikovsky, a modern science fiction, one that you probably won't see much on the channel. Not that book, but like modern sci-fi. You won't see that much on the channel because generally I like the old stuff. Something like this, Gene Wolfe's The Wizard. Never even heard of this book. It is book 2 of The Wizard Knight, which I believe it's probably a trilogy. It's 2004. Yeah, I don't know anything about this. It's floppy. Hear that? Gene Wolfe is generally pretty hard to find, and if you do find him, he's expensive, just because Book of the New Sun. Um, he's just got a lot of bangers, which I'm reading right now for the second time. I'm reading Shadow of the Torture. This is not a part of the haul, but I'm slowly making my way through that, and I'm going to try to go through all of the books in Book of the New Sun. Um, Stay tuned on that. That might be a long-term project because I want to take my time and savor it. It's confusing. So, where do we go here? Okay. I have not one, but two copies of Stand on Zanzibar by John Brunner. Book clubs. This one's in like the shiny mylar. This one's not. This one was $1. This one was $5. Felt that was very fair. Even though they're book clubs, I mean they're in great shape, and I will be keeping at least one of these. Which, funny enough, I see another copy in this other box that I did not get from the library sale. I have another copy of this book in a paperback just right there, which I will show you later. Trying to keep these kind of organized based on where I got them. Also, I didn't even show you this. Nice little like pink text block to match that coloring on the cover. It's really neat. And speaking of keeping one and maybe selling another, I just started selling on my eBay. I think my link is probably in my YouTube, like on my page. I'll have to link it down below maybe. But if you're interested in any of these, some of them may or may not be on my YouTube or on my eBay. As I start to kind of try to learn how to sell stuff online. I'm not very good at it, so we're getting there. We're learning. This is Star Giant by Dorothy Skinkle. It was 50 cents. I got some really good horror while I was there in the paperback section, especially. Nightmare Seasons by Charles L. Grant. Not in the best of shape, but I would say vintage horror is pretty scarce. I got two Warhammer Horus Heresy books. Horus Rising, Wolfsbane. This one looks like X-Library. Yeah, it is. Got the tape on the sides, but still, these are sometimes pretty priced up when you go to like a bookstore. I find every time I go into half-price books these days, behind their glass case is always a giant stack of Warhammer, either paperbacks or big hardbacks that are like, I mean, some of them are priced over $100. I mean, some of them are scarce. Gotta keep an eye on my son. He's asleep. I really don't want to be too loud to wake him up. He's in the room next to mine, so I'm trying to keep the energy up of this book haul, but I'm also like kind of bringing my energy down a little bit so I don't wake him up. We got here the Centauri Device, M. John Harrison, and I believe this is probably a book club. Yeah, it's Doubleday Science Fiction, so most likely a book club without the dust jacket, unfortunately. This is just a cool book. It's a heavy Del Rey by Stephen R. Donaldson. The Mirror of Her Dreams. I think this was like 50 cents. Maybe $1. You'll notice a theme in this. There's going to be a lot of Stephen R. Donaldson. I found a lot of it. I've been looking for a copy of this for a while. Ice by Anna Kavan. Seen many people talk about this on this corner of BookTube. Nothing but great things that have been said about this book. So even though it's an X-Library Penguin Classics edition, I'm super stoked. I will be reading this at some point. I'm very pumped for it. So I'm going to check really quick that my camera is still rolling. We are still rolling. I keep having, that paranoia that it's not because of my phone being what I use to record. I can't see what's being recorded. So anyway, here is Doorways in the Sand by Zelazny. I think technically this is a book club. So question for all you guys who are nerds out there like myself who really want to know these kind of, they're not useless facts about books, but they're very specific facts. How do you know a book is a book club edition? 90% of the time I have found down here, if you open it up, it will say down here along the bottom of the dust jacket, book club edition. But I also learned recently that down here in the back, there'll be like a serial number, kind of. This one has a 5-digit serial number, and it looks and feels like a book club, like it is the size of that one, printed like one. And I guess it could say in here. I haven't really studied this one closely, but you know, it's. I just was curious, but this is a nice book. I really like Zelazny. I have covered him several times in the channel, and I recently did a collaboration with Sam over at Barely Human about This Immortal by Zelazny, if you're interested. Speak of the Devil, Jack of Shadows, Roger Zelazny. This is a unique one from a publisher I've never heard of, Walker. It is a book club edition, Walker and Company. But yeah, it's like looks like Ozzy Osbourne 3 times in pink on the front. I am charmed by Zelazny's stuff. He has a very ethereal, magical way of writing that I have found is very captivating. This one's one of my favorites of the whole haul. Harlan Ellison, Deathbird Stories. This is just a really cool book. This is a Blue Jay Books book club edition with, of course, the Deathbird, one of his most famous stories in here. He wrote a lot of stories. Pain God is in here. I recognize that name. Yeah, there's some good stories in here. I'm eager to read some of this. He just has a bite to his writing that I absolutely love. This is the other book that I spent more than $5 on. This is Earthbound by Richard Matheson in the UK, and it's signed by Richard. You can see right there, to David. They wanted 15 for this. I was like, heck yeah. How often do you get the chance at an autographed copy from a very famous horror writer for that price? So that's a really cool one. I have this book and I have covered it on the channel, but it was $3 and it is in pretty good shape. This is False Dawn by Chelsea Quinn Yarbrough. Would recommend this book. This is the book club, and I love the cover. The colors, the aesthetic, the weird way that this Wolfman is holding this shotgun. Book's brutal. It's really good, though. This is one of those double days that has like a paper dust jacket. A Torrent of Faces by James Blish and Norman L. Knight. Yeah, it's a book club. For some reason, these they get chewed up. The dust jackets are always pretty chewed up, and I think it's just the material. They had to have at some point switched from the paper to something a little more useful, or a little more long lasting, I should say. This one's cool. This is the Dark Tower, the Gunslinger, an early signet printing. I think this is a first signet. It is. First signet printing, July 1989. I know this book came out earlier than that, though, because it is copyright 1982. So, unfortunately, it looks like this isn't like an actual early printing, but still pretty neat. I don't really collect King. I don't really have very much King, but I just noticed that one and thought for 50 cents it's worth it. And I thought the same about this one. Another vintage copy of Count Zero. I think in my last book haul, I showed you guys the one that I have just sitting right here. This one that's a little more chewed up, and that is a later printing. So I may be swapping this one out for the one I already had. This is an 8th printing, but can't wait to read this. It's on my short list, I promise. I know I told you guys that I was going to read Neuromancer and then try to continue the trilogy, and I will. I'm going to get to it, I promise. This is one of the coolest finds of the whole day. a really old copy of The Great Gatsby for $2. A Bantam, I think fourth printing. Yeah, March 1951. I mean, it's not like it's an early printing for what we're talking about right now. This book is 75 years old. So cool. One of the books that got me into truly like reading like literature when I was in high school. Um, Me and Luke really love that book. Luke especially adores that book. My good friend Luke. I say it like everyone knows him. You guys have seen him on the channel before. He's my good buddy that also loves to do book shopping with me from time to time. This is Julian Gloag, Our Mother's House, a book I've never heard of, but that looks creepy, has potential to be a horror gem. Walter John Williams, Aristoi. Aristoi? I don't know how you pronounce that exactly, but I believe Walter John Williams was kind of an 80s, 90s cyberpunk guy. Yep, this is 92. Haven't read him before, but I will. I will. This one's cool. This is a first edition of this trade paperback, this Ace trade paperback of Stranger in a Strange Land by Robert A. Heinlein. Kurt Vonnegut has good things to say about this. And I love Kurt Vonnegut. So maybe I'll give Heinlein another chance. This seems like this is 520 pages. So that's a hefty chance, but this will be cool. We'll see if I end up getting to that at some point. It's a really nice copy. Not early, I guess. I don't know. A Silverberg I've not heard of. Ex-Library. Apparently it's supposed to be discarded. Well, it's discarded onto my bookshelf. Thank you. Kingdoms of the Wall, Robert Silverberg. I love Silverberg. I really do. I gotta read another one of his soon because it's been a while. And I have tons of his books. This is a first, Texasville by Larry McMurtry. I just read Lonesome Dove. I know I mentioned earlier that I cover mostly sci-fi and fantasy. Occasionally I'll read a Western, apparently, because Lonesome Dove was the first Western I've ever read. And it didn't really give me like an itch to start reading more, but I'll pick them up if I find them, you know. This is, yeah, it's a first. 1987. Sweet. Simon & Schuster. All right. We got it still tons to go, so hope you're enjoying yourself. I'm going to take a sip. I don't think I'm going to cut this down either. This is just going to be for the people who want to turn this on while they're folding laundry or making dinner or sitting at their desk at work and just want some old books being shown off. A.E. Van Vogt. I really try to pronounce that correctly. Slan. A lot of people are aware of this book. Very important and well known vintage science fiction. I have a lot of copies of this book, but I don't think I have that Berkeley, so that's a new one. Michael Moorcock's Stormbringer, one of the 80s copies from the Elric saga. I've read the first two in the Elric saga, Elric of Melniboné and Sailor on the Seas of Fate, I think. Need to keep reading those. Those are really fun. And I kind of just dropped off a little bit last year when I was trying to keep up with the reading challenge. But yeah, we'll see. I really like those. Methuselah's Children. Heinlein again. Because why not? John Christopher's The 22nd Century in the Lancer. I really like Lancers as like readers. They're just tight. They're very tightly bound. I think the Lovecraft I read last year was a Lancer. Somewhere over here. It was. I can see it right here. Color Out of Space. It was Lancer. It was a really good reader. This is a really cool one. I read Fire Upon the Deep probably 2 years ago now. It was one of the first books that I read that really like catapulted this channel and got me into sci-fi, like real vintage sci-fi and like the true stuff that created this genre. Um, Werner Vinge has become. I mean, I've only read one of his books, but I'm a well respected author of mine. He's not an author of mine. I really respect his writing, and this is a book called Threats and Other Promises. I believe it's short stories. I've never seen this book. It's got a creepy like '90s cover. I think this is a first Bane, yep, from 1988. So it's really tight. This thing is like near mint, and it is mine now. Lord Fowl's Bane in the Del Rey with a ton of flop. I have so I'll just keep talking because this video is already gonna be long. So skip ahead if you want to see the next book. Um, I've been kind of like randomly feeling the need to like go grab these at some point and look for them, and I found one at Steele's Books up in North Kansas City. The owner was like, "Hey, those are kind of tough to track down," and I was like, "Nice, I'm glad I found one." Got one from him. Then I found several more at this library sale, and it has made me want to try out the Chronicles of Thomas Covenant, the Unbeliever, at least the first trilogy, or maybe just even just this first book. And then don't judge me. I went on to Goodreads and I was curious what people had to say about Lord Fowl's Bane because I was like, if I'm going to give this series a try, I want to just kind of know. And there were so many polarizing thoughts on that book and on that series where some people one starred it abysmal, they hate it, and others were like, you just didn't get it. And I don't really know where I stand because I haven't read any of it. I don't know much about Stephen R. Donaldson. But if you have thoughts on this, on Thomas Covenant, I hear he's a terrible main character, and that's part of the point. So we'll see if I end up getting to this at some point, but it intrigues me. Um, I'm I'm interested in that, not quite anti-hero, but like, you know, the guy that you really don't want to root for, that you're somehow having to, you're forced to follow the whole time. Anyway, I digress. Next up, we have Day of the Triffids by John Wyndham. Another copy of this, but this is in a Penguin, a UK Penguin again. It's like I've never seen this version. It's very modern looking. Looks like it's straight out of like an airport an airport store for the plane ride. Oh, what else is in here? I have so many more books for you. So if you're enjoying this, I'm glad you are. Let me double check my camera. We're good. We're at 23 minutes. My gosh, this is going to take an hour and a half. I don't actually know how long it's going to take. We'll see. Sword of the Dawn. This is the third volume in the history of the Rune Staff by Michael Moorcock. I don't know much about Rune Staff, but stay tuned. I have more from that coming up soon. This one's really interesting, and one that I might kind of earmark just as potential, climb up my TBR quickly. Immortal Glamour by Chelsea Quinn Yarbrough. I already mentioned her earlier with False Dawn, but this is like a gothic horror. Got a Stephen King write up on the front, or whatever you call it, and it's got this like, this 14th century Europe, like potentially magical, elements to it. I don't know. She's a really good writer, so I really, that one just has a feel about it. Arthur C. Clarke's The Deep Range in the Pan Lozenge, coined by Outlaw Bookseller, the man himself. Here's another vintage horror. This one's cool. The Eyes of Darkness by Lee Nichols, with the really cool, I believe you call them keyhole covers. where you see the eye, and then pop like that. It's a unique book. Jack Vance, The Languages of Pow, I got for, I think this was $2. This was in a different section for some reason. There was a section that was deemed specifically pulp. And I was like, what makes that different than like half the stuff you put in just the general paperback section? These are pretty cool. I don't know a ton about them, but I've kind of started to gather that these are pretty important, especially this one. Fritz Leiber, Swords and Deviltry, and the Swords of Lankhmar. Um, Fafford and Gray Mauser. Don't know a ton about that, but yeah, I think I want to say Tim over at Secret Fire Books, when we were talking about when I joined the Ebes, he mentioned this, I think, as being like one of the more, could be totally talking out of my butt right now, but I don't know. It's late. It's 10:45 and had a long day with a toddler, so um, yeah, just bear with me. This thing is a freaking weird. This is straight out of, I don't know what this is. This is called Panzer Spirit by Tom Townsend. It's like resurrected Nazi zombies. Uh, it's a Pageant Books horror / occult. This has got to be either really good or really bad or really rare. I don't know much about this, and I've never seen this. This is cool. Panzer Spirit. I mean, what a name. All right, we're getting close to the end of. No, we're not really very close. I'm going to get through the rest of these paperbacks, and then we can finish up with the hardbacks. What do you know? Lord Fowl's Bane. I won't talk more about that one, but you've already seen this. Of course you have. This is Blind Justice by S.N. Lewitt. I kind of have started just grabbing every cyberpunk that I can because I found that might be my favorite subgenre of sci-fi. Of all of the different branches that are deemed science fiction, that 80s period where Neuromancer came out of and some other really just works of that cyberpunk, steampunk sort of genre, just fascinate me. I just love them, that feel and that era. Arthur C. Clarke's The Fountains of Paradise in another UK. This one, I've never seen this cover, and it is superb art. That's not up there anymore, but somewhere over here is like the one you've seen with like the giant fountains and Buddha and whatever is on the cover. I bought this purely for the cover. I don't know if I'll ever read this, but Heinlein 6H in like a psychedelic, like Grateful Dead looking artwork. I love that art. So cool. James P. Hogan's Thrice Upon a Time. Great title. Don't know anything about it. It was $2. It cost me $2. Robert L. Forward's Dragon's Egg. I actually covered this on the channel. I don't know if many of you know that because I posted for the longest time when I started this channel, each book review was just like its own video. But then I wanted to try kind of how some other booktubers have done it in this area, where I put like multiple videos or multiple book reviews in the same video, and just I wanted to just test something, and I put this. What else did I review with that? Electric Forest by Tanith Lee, and Sailor on the Seas of Fate by Moorcock. I reviewed all three of those in the same video way back last summer. It's a good book, hard science. Yeah, it was fun. Oh my. It's this book again. It won't stop. Lord Fowl's Bane in the more modern Del Rey. This might be a good reader. I don't know which would be a better reader if I do read that series. Oh, it keeps popping up. Stephen R. Donaldson with The One Tree. This looks like the 5th book in the series. 450 pages. That's a kind of a chunk. A merits the ships of Ishtar. Ship of Ishtar, excuse me. In this really old Avon. It's very pretty. Great artwork. Kind of in that H.P. Lovecraft, Clark Ashton Smith realm. I think he was a weird guy. The Star Fox by Poul Anderson. Always liked this cover. I don't know why. It looks like if you remove like all the text, like this would be like some kind of avant-garde art or something. James H. Schmidt, I can't say that. Schmitz, The Witches of Karis in the Ace Science Fiction special. Yeah. I don't want to have something to say about every single book, but you know, let me check my time here. We're at 31 minutes. Okay. Let's get moving a little bit because I don't want you to be sitting here for 2 hours. Still have quite a few to go. I got this Dune box set of the first 3 books for $5, so that was cool. I already own all the Dune books, as we most of us do. But yeah, this is The Deadbeat by Robert Bloch. Back when it was really more like thriller or suspense books, it wasn't really called horror yet, at least as far as I know. Bloch, I've read just one short story, I think, in Dangerous Visions by him, but yeah. If Psycho chilled your blood, this one will freeze it solid. Great little tagline there. It's cool. Werner Vinge's Fire Upon the Deep. I already mentioned Werner. His great work. This book rocks. If you've never read it, or if you're just kind of entering science fiction, great place to start. I know it's a little bit daunting. It's over 600 pages, but I'm getting my dad to read this, I think. And I really hope he likes it because it really moved me and helped me fall in love with space opera and just vintage sci-fi in general. It's a beautiful book. This was really neat. I found all 3 of the Heliconia books. I believe there's only 3. I believe these are all book club editions as well. They are, but they're beautiful. This is Heliconia Summer. Yeah, Summer. This is Heliconia Winter. And this is Heliconia Spring by Brian Aldiss. There's Bry right there. Only book I've read by him was Hot House, or The Long Afternoon of Earth, I think is the alternate title. That was also right around the time I read Fire Upon the Deep, right at the beginning of this channel. Really liked that book. Super weird. Super cool. Super cool. This is Dream Snake by Vonda McIntyre. I have a copy of this, but I really enjoy this book club edition version. It's nothing like crazy for the cover art, but it's aesthetically pleasing. Ooh, yeah, I forgot about these. Flashing Swords 1 and Flashing Swords 2, edited by Lynn Carter. These are really neat, and I think pretty important for Sword and Sorcery. Book club editions from 73. Who's in here? Lynn Carter, Fritz Lieber, Jack Vance, Poul Anderson, and Lynn Carter again. About this one. He's got a lot of toning on here. Lynn Carter, L. Sprague de Camp, Michael Moorcock, Andre Norton, and John Jakes. Pretty good lineups. Those, I think, are cool books, and I'd like to learn more about those and the significance they have, because I've seen them talked about before. Bugjack Baron in the book club edition by Norman Spinrad. Norman. It's an odd title. I've always thought that's an odd title. Okay, we got 6 left in the library sale box, so we're almost done with this, and then I can take you the rest of the way. Larry Niven's Ringworld in the, I think, first edition. It's in decent shape. Yeah, first published in hardcover 1977. Holt, Reinhardt, Winston, first edition, first printing. Cool. Well, I believe that this had some influence on Halo, so that's kind of neat. I was a Halo fan back in the day. Still am. This is probably the weirdest book I got, other than Panzer Spirit. Christmas Stars, edited by David G. Hartwell. This is like a Christmas science fiction anthology. Because why not? Bradbury, Arthur C. Clarke, William Gibson, Anne McCaffrey, Gene Wolfe. Because yeah, like I said, why not? Oh man, some other names you'll recognize in here. Dish is in here. Aldous. Man, that's funny. That's funny. I just chuckled every time I looked at that. I was just like, "What is this thing?" This is another really interesting book that I'd never seen before. Robert Bloch's Psychos, featuring some pretty stacked names. You got Matheson, Charles Grant, Stephen King, of course. I think there's probably got to be some Bloch stories in here as well. Maybe not. I don't know. This has got to be pretty valuable for horror fans. I would think so. Okay, 3 more in this box, and then we're going to go through the rest. Okay. Here's an ex-library of The Godfather that was, I think, $1. I'm curious also if you're still with me, and like, how do you determine if a book is like a first print if it's ex-library? Would it be? Because like this has the price up top, and it doesn't have any sort of information on this page as far as print goes, other than it has printed in the United States of America, just the number 60. But normally you would have a number line. This is like the 60th printing, which I would assume is way more likely than like an early printing. But just curious, because I looked it up. I was looking at it and I was like, this looks like it's kind of bare. These are really cool. Speaking of, we've had a couple Michael Moorcocks in this video. I also don't want to move my camera. Keep bumping into that box. These are both Eternal Champions, volumes 3 and 4. We have Hawkmoon. I want to be careful with these. Hawkmoon. Make sure you can see the cover. I'm just going to show them one at a time. Hawkmoon. Which includes Jewel in the Skull, Mad God's Amulet, Sword of the Dawn, and the Rune Staff. And we have A Nomad of the Time Streams, which includes the Warlord of Air, the Land Leviathan, and the Steel Tsar. These are just cool to hold because they feel. These are both first hardcover editions, 1995. It's freaking. I don't know. They're just unique. I've just never seen these before. I don't know where to put all these books. Where do I put them? I guess if I get this video done, I can actually put them wherever I want. All right, I'm going to try. And we're at 40 minutes. Okay, let's keep cooking. Most of the rest of this stuff is either from bookshops or from. I went to another library sale in Olathe about 3 or 4 weeks ago and got some good stuff there. Nothing that was like, well, no, there was a couple of good things in there in that library book sale, but I'll just start showing you. I found a copy, Ballantine Adult Fantasy of The Boats of Glencarrig by William Hope Hodgson. As I feel like a lot of us are, these Ballantine Adult Fantasies just like I don't let them slip through my fingers very often. Um, this is cool. It has kind of that same aesthetic as um, the House on the Borderland. Isn't that what it's called? Uh, the BAFs of those. I don't know where to put these things. Okay. Here's a more modern copy, a glance of William Gibson's Mona Lisa Overdrive. I think I have all 4 of those now, the Sprawl Trilogy and Burning Chrome. This was from a flea market for a couple bucks. Brian Aldiss's The 80-Minute Hour, which is actually first edition, first print, I think. Never heard of this. Nonetheless, very cool. I finally found a book club edition of Dune. I've been looking for a good copy of this that was reasonably priced, and this one was. And I think the gutter code is V12, so it's nothing that's. I looked up the gutter codes, started learning about gutter codes as well. Really learning the nerdy things. But I don't think it's like a super early printing, but still very just. I wanted an old copy of this book, and I finally got one. Finally got my hands on one. Oh, let's look in this box. I think I got a bunch of these from Steele's. I was telling you earlier. Steele's used books, not used books. North Kansas City. Shout out. Love that guy. Love David. This is The Evil People, edited by Peter Haining with Bradbury, Lovecraft, Edgar Allan Poe. Cool names. Cool little horror anthology. Oh, what do you know? Stephen R. Donaldson makes another appearance. Because of course he does. That's the Ill Earth War. This is Science Against Man, another anthology. It's got Aldous, James Blish, Moorcock, Bob Shaw, Silverberg, Spinrad. The list goes on. This one has been kind of just, again, sticking with me a little bit ever since I got it, but Dreams of Flesh and Sand. Really cool title. Cool little cyberpunk edge to it by W.T. Quick. It's got that old bookstore smell. Oh. R. DeWitt Miller, Stranger Than Life. No idea what this is. Bought it purely because it looked crazy. I said, who and what? This is Donald A. Walheim presents the 1981 annual World's Best SF. We've all seen these dolls, right? Spinrad, Varley, all of all the authors of to note, I guess, on the front, at least in my opinion. Heroic Visions, another anthology. Joanna Russ and Robert Silverberg, Fritz Lieber, I can never determine how to say that. Say his last name. Somebody help me in the comments. Please don't roast me. Time Travelers from Isaac Asimov's Science Fiction magazine. Aldous Silverberg, Lucius Shepard, Varley, Louis Shiner. Several anthologies from him. These are cool. Titus Groan and Gormenghast by Mervyn Peake. Not in the best of shape, as you can see. They're kind of, can you tell? They are a little bit curvy on the spine. But I believe these are both firsts. Yeah. Sick. First Valentine's on both of these. Beautiful books. I mean, I've heard more and more about these, and I don't know when I'll make myself read these, but I feel like I should at some point. Was thrilled to find both of those. Thrilled. Overjoyed, one might say. I think this is Louis Shiner won something for this one, but Frontera. Pretty good shape too. Uncracked spine, I think. No, little bit. Like I said, I've just been picking up the Cyberpunk, guys. How many of these did I get? I got too many of them. I thought this one was going to be like an early print. It's the 28th printing. It looked different from the other ones. I have 4 of these now. 3 of them that looked like that. And then that one random newer Del Rey. Rudy Rucker, Master of Space and Time. This is... I've never seen this one before. Noel Bane. You were born in the dark. I'm sorry, it's late. Rudy Rucker's Wetware. Really wish I could find the first one of this. Trilogy, or series at least. And then last one here, we got Wheels Within Wheels by F. Paul Wilson. There's a joke there. Somewhere in there about F. Paul Wilson. F. Paul Wilson, man. Alright. Man, I gotta go through this whole other box. I think we're at like 50 minutes. We're at 46 minutes. Let's keep rolling. I'm gonna go a little faster here. Make sure we get through this within an hour. This is that Stand on Zanzibar I was telling you about. A first Valentine printing from '69. Nice. Pretty book. I don't know what I'll do with that because I have several now. I got this from Ian on Whatnot. 334 by Thomas M. Dish in the UK actually. This is a beautiful book. Super great condition on this one too. Beautiful. Gorgeous. Robert R. McCammon, Blue World, a horror that I think plenty of us have probably seen in the past. I don't know much about that one, but I've seen it. I've seen it around. Spartan Planet. A. Bertram Chandler. Oh, I was stunned to find this. I found this at the Olathe Library sale for 50 cents. King of Elfland's Daughter by Lord Dunsany. Fortunately, it is a second, I think I want to say. Yep, second printing. What are you going to do? I'm going to complain that I got this for 50 cents. Yeah, that's right. I'm going to complain. I'm delirious if you can't tell. Jack Vance's The Book of Dreams. The 5th and final Demon Princes novel. Really clean doll. So clean, so fresh, so clean. I finally found a copy of Mirror Shades. I've been looking for so long. Speaking of that cyberpunk, that is my jam. I think I paid 20 for this, and it's not in the greatest shape. And actually, the spine's in pretty good shape. It's just edgeware and then a sticker that was like ripped off the front. But boom shakalaka, I have it now. You will not take her from me. I'm just quoting Star Wars now, apparently. I don't remember where I got this. Great Short Novels of Adult Fantasy, Volume 2. Bath. Looks like they're taking a bath. Valentine Adult Fantasy action there. Best Science Fiction Stories of the Year. I feel like I got these from Ron at Sci-Fi PBS. I think I did. Shout out Ron. Ron's the man. There's some illustrations in this. Pretty cool. I want to just destroy the spine and open these up. But there's some illustrations. Asimov, Christopher Priest, Gene Wolfe, Dish. It's a cool one. I don't even think I showed you the front. There you go. Lots of anthologies. Robert Silverberg, Masks of Time. I think this was the first time I found Masks of Time. I don't know. This Immortal, First Ace. I have 2 of these now. Maybe you can have one. Go over to my eBay, or maybe tune into a Whatnot show if I ever have one. Joanna Russ, Picnic on Paradise. Nice book. Michael Moorcock, Masters of the Pit or Barbarians of Mars. Oh, that's cool. He published it under a different pen name. This one is in the DAW. In the DAW, Arthur C. Clarke, Meeting with Medusa. Kim Stanley Robinson, Green Mars. I bet this is like the first chapter of Green Mars or something. 113 pages. Isn't Red Mars, Green Mars, like Blue Mars, like they're big books. Oh, we're making it. We're doing it. Oh, I think we're almost there. Davy, Pangborn, Beach, and Shoot. And I'm not doing that every book. The Complete Enchanter, Elsprague de Camp, and Fletcher Pratt. This one, Flop, has a big old flop. He will not stop following me in this book haul. This is book 3 in the first trilogy, Power That Preserves. Almost Covenant by Stephen O. Donaldson. H.G. Wells, First Man in the Moon. Where did I get Australian all of a sudden? S.N. Lewitt again. Angel at Apogee. Apogee is my buddy Evan's screen name on Xbox or on PlayStation or whatever. All right, we're at 52 minutes. We're still rolling. My camera hasn't filled up yet. Windhaven by George R. R. Martin and Lisa Tuttle in the Timescape with so much lean Lil Wayne. But oh my gosh, I had to make a Lil Wayne joke that would have bombed so hard. I'm so glad dropping the book saved that. Modesty. This is We by Yevgeny Zamyatin. I don't know. The acclaimed translation by Mira Ginsburg. She just translated the Russian short story collection I read. Crazy. What a world. I think that book's kind of famous. I don't know much about it. 73 and 74 annual World's Best in the hardback with freaking, this one not so much. This has a sick cover. This one's kind of cool. Oh, I found a book club edition, a nice book club edition actually, of Where Late the Sweet Birds Sang. Wilhelm, who I really desperately need to read. I know I do. 1980 annual World's Best SF. I have quite a few of these now. And another 82. I really like that cover. That's cool. Donald A. Wollheim. Clone, Richard, Cooper, Cowper, I think. Some people pronounce Cowper. I think it's Cooper. And they spelled it weird. It's a book club. It's a book club. Another book club. Yep. Time of Changes by Silver Bob. Another book club edition, Inverted World by Christopher Priest. I have another one right here. This will need to find a new home. The Warhound and the World's Pain by Michael Moorcock. There he is. Creepy freaking cover. Always like that cover, but it's creepy as all get out. Hugo Winners, Volume 3, edited by Asimov, without the really gorgeous, like, diamond-shaped green dust jacket that I would have liked. This is a first edition, first printing of Tower of Glass by Silverberg. Pretty positive. Boom. Haven't read it yet. Plan on reading it. More Than Human, Theodore Sturgeon. I read this and reviewed it recently. It rocks. Kicks butt. Very weird. Super weird, but super good. Five Fates. This looks like five like novellas. Keith Laumer, Gordon Dixon, Poul Anderson, Harlan Ellison, and Frank Hibbett. This is unique. Cool cover. The Moat. God's Eye. It's a book club. 1974. A space opera that I have had my eyes on for a while. We'll see if I ever read it. An old David Copperfield. Because why not? I don't remember. I probably got that for $1. Ooh, I forgot. I found Volume A and Volume B of the Science Fiction Hall of Fame with dust jackets. This will replace the one I have that doesn't have a dust jacket. And they will look so nice next to each other on the shelf. Like brother and sister. I've just become British at night, I guess. Holy cow, I have 3 more books to show you. No, I have a giant stack of paperbacks. Oh my gosh. This is the Fantasy Hall of Fame, compiled by Robert Silverberg and Martin H. Greenberg. Did you just hear like the excitement in my voice go away? I realized that I thought I was almost done. My back hurts. We've been going for an hour, and I still have a decent stack of paperbacks right there. I'll show you this one. I'll save a really cool one for last that I think you'll like. Fantasy Hall of Fame, compiled by Silverberg, Martin Greenberg. Here's the names. There's lots of cool names. Pretty cool cover art, actually. I mean, everybody's in there. Everybody who's anybody is in there. Oh, I don't know where I got these two. I think these were giveaways from Sci-Fi PBS. I think I won 2 giveaways in one whatnot auction. John Ringo, both of them. I don't know. These were both free. Oh. I won't spend too much time on these. I got more Larry McMurtry books at the library book sale a week ago. Or no, 3 weeks ago. No, they were, again, so dirt cheap that I just have trouble saying no to stuff like that. I think there's more over here. Whatever. Orbitsville Departure, Bob Shaw. 10 Tomorrows, edited by Elwood. There's a Malsberg, there's a Jennifer, there's a Silverberg, Blish, Niven, McCaffrey, Pangborn. Children of Lear, Evangeline Walton, some big old Tormund-looking naked guy on the back. I love this cover. Theodore Sturgeon, Beyond. Giant green snake people. That's cool. The Wind's 12 Quarters in this Bantam. Really cool cover. I love that cover. By the great Ursula K. Le Guin. Gibson and Sterling combined for The Difference Engine. Been looking for this one. Glad I finally found a copy. We're almost done. We're still going. We're still recording. Try to end on exactly an hour if I can. I think we're close. 17 by Infinity. I'm sure you've seen this collection. Bradbury, Sturgeon, Pohl, William Tenn. Some good stuff in there. Here's an old vintage iRobot. iRobot. I don't know what this is. James Luceno, Memory's End. Web Warriors. Looks like terrible, terrible cyberpunk. Brack. When the Idols Walked by John Jakes. This, I think, was in Flashing Swords. Am I... Something with Brack. Oh, Modesty. Sorry, YouTube. Jeez, John Jakes. What the heck? William Shatner, TechNet. The Shat Man. He shat all over the place. I'm so sorry. I got 3 McMurtrys. Oh, look at that, Texasville. I already have a giant hardback. Anything for Billy and Boone's Lick. There's a joke there. I'm not going to make it. A.E. Van Vogt and E. Main Hull, the Winged Man. Aw. Never heard of this one. Beyond the Black Enigma by Bart Summers. Really cool cover art. Got that for $3 at a flea market or at a antique mall, or The Wrecks of Time by Michael Moorcock and Tamontane by Emil Petaja. Ace double. Robert Silverberg's The Next Stop the Stars. I like that text treatment. It's cool. All right, finally we have 2 more. 2 more. This is it. A first of The Peace War by Werner Vinge. Beautiful book. It is definitely a Blue Jay first edition. So cool. I found this at that antique mall too for I think $3. And there was a giant stack of books. I can't even describe to you how they were stacked. It took everything in me to dig it out at the very bottom, being very careful too, so I didn't rip it. And then same little booth in this antique mall that just was, I mean, gross with how many books and dust and crap was all over it. I had to dig this out. Free Live Free by Gene Wolfe. I think I got this for, it was $1. It was $1. Clearly didn't know what was on his hands when he was selling this, but I was pumped to find a Gene Wolfe like that for so cheap. That's been the book haul. Holy cow. I'm exhausted. I'm going to go to bed. I was really planning on reading tonight, but I have to put all these books away somewhere, probably back into the boxes until I can organize them. And then I'll start on my next book haul because that's just what I do around here. Like I said, I'll link the eBay in the bottom. I will in the description, whatever you call it. And I will maybe start having whatnot auctions if I can finally figure out how to kind of do that with my schedule, make it profitable and worth my time. But ultimately, all this is really, it's for fun. It's to share with you. I love sharing my books with you. If you've watched an hour of this and you're still here and you're hearing my voice right now, bless you and thank you. You're the best. And I love you guys for watching these videos, for supporting me. It means a lot. Cheers to you. I'll see you in the next video. Take care.